Okay, let's go to the fourth ray. I should probably preface this by saying that the fourth ray souls, we are told, are not in incarnation right now. Although there's probably a couple scouts out there. But the fourth ray is the one of the seven that is not in incarnation, but it's the last time it manifested in a very serious way. It's what launched the Renaissance of Europe. So people like Da Vinci, Bach, Beethoven, these we believe are all fourth ray souls. We're also told that in 2025 this ashram will begin to externalize itself again. And so by the middle of the century, the first wave of fourth ray souls should be back with us again. But let's take a look at this first. Many people have fourth ray personalities, and also many people, okay, I'm going to throw another loop at you, but I don't want to. You also have a ray that animates your mental body, a ray that animates your emotional body, and a ray that animates your physical body. We just can't go into all of that today. But there are a lot of people that have fourth ray mental bodies too. So either personality or the mind nature. So here it is. This is the ray of harmonization. Fourth ray souls deeply recognize that humanity is struggling to evolve toward a higher and more peaceful state of being. The major task of this type of soul is to bridge new ideas with the old, and by so doing mitigate the tendency for conflict to emerge between them. The destiny of a fourth ray soul is found in his or her ability to achieve a righteous compromise between the wisdom of the past and the new paradigms that are cresting on humanity's horizon. This is the most intuitive of the ray types, and it is through this faculty that spiritual harmony can be realized. Intuition is always rooted in higher harmony and is the key to finding one's destiny for this type of soul. The will to relate and harmonize is the underlying urge deep within. Now, all the rays are very much related to intuition, but none more than the fourth ray. And I can explain why. Some of you know about the 7 planes of consciousness. The fourth plane is called the Buddhic plane, also called the plane of pure intuition. So it's ruled by the fourth ray. So people that have a natural a strong fourth ray tendency, personality or soul, would be inclined to have a remarkable sensitivity. I'm talking about these 7 rays, 7 planes. You all have this in your packet. That middle plane is considered the Buddhic plane or the intuitive plane. It's also the ray most associated with art and beauty. Most artists will have strong fourth ray either in their personality nature or their mental bodies, some in their emotional bodies too. So, but as I say, a fourth ray soul, that's another matter. And it's interesting because this particular soul type, if in fact it is that they begin to incarnate in 2025, we anticipate therefore that the first wave of those hitting adulthood will be about in the middle of the century, and so another kind of human being will be amongst us, you might say. And we're told that it'll have an effect on all the arts as time progresses, and help humanity realize that beauty and truth are synonymous terms in a higher way than we've ever sensed before. That's the gift of the fourth ray, in one sense. But even though it's going to affect all the arts, we're told that the first 2 dimensions of arts that it'll affect will be the art of living, and the art of language. So anyway, now, you remember earlier I said that the whole human kingdom was ruled by the fourth ray, remember? Remember earlier I said that the soul of humanity as a wholeness has a fourth ray soul. So even though the individual souls that are fourth ray have a short incarnational cycle, maybe lasting a couple centuries and then out, the truth is that I speculate, this is my own speculation, that the reason why it's such a short cycle for the actual fourth ray souls is the whole human kingdom is governed by the fourth ray in this way. And so we have a natural dose of it just because we're in the human kingdom. And so all of us should recognize the fourth ray as, in terms of its harmony and conflict and harmonizing. You know, understand, we talked about your duality and the fight between your lower self and your higher self. That's all a fourth ray battle. Okay? The institution that the fourth ray rules, in addition to the arts, and has a tremendous amount to do with culture, but it rules the United Nations. The United Nations is the manifestation of a fourth ray vibration. Its mandate is to reconcile international differences through peaceful means and to honor cultural diversity in the process. And even though the United Nations is in its infancy and therefore making a lot of mistakes along the way, its destiny is profound as we move further into this century. Okay, let's go to the next one, the fifth ray. Oh, the signs of the zodiac, okay. Well, you already know two of them. Well, I told you that, well, maybe I didn't. The fourth ray comes through Taurus. And in that, I'll give you the so Taurus, Scorpio, Sagittarius. In Taurus, it represents harmony and beauty. That's why Taurus is the sign of more artists come out of Taurus than any other sign. Taurus is said to be the sign that rules gardens, ecosystems. The other sign is the opposite. That's Scorpio, and that's the battle. That's the valley experience. That's the scorpion. That's the dealing with the devil within. That's the conflict part of it. And then Sagittarius is, every Sagittarian would be well to get some more of that fourth ray built into them, because Sagittarius is the archer who's shooting the arrows of aspiration toward a vision. But Sagittarius is, any Sagittarians in here? I should ask. Aha, okay, we got a few of you. So many Sagittarians, they tend to be so interested in so many things because there's a strong curiosity factor that they're shooting their arrows all over the place. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's what I'm going to emit. The Sagittarian must learn how to steady the aim. It is said that the Sagittarian must become the one-pointed disciple, moving right to a vision, not to the right of it, not to the left of it, but right to the vision, and in a way kind of become the arrow itself. And the idea here is that they have to stabilize this erratic tendency they can become overly victimized by unbridled curiosity. The antidote is the fourth ray, because the fourth ray creates temperance. Temperance, which by the way is a word that on a lower level the Sagittarian will go, whoa, temperance, can't handle it. But actually that's exactly what the Sagittarian needs to steady the aim. Okay? Okay, the distortions in the fourth ray. All right, the distortions of the fourth ray can be a couple of them. For instance, the fourth ray people can have, for some fourth ray people, they can be overly combative, where they just want they just stir things up unnecessarily. For other people, you got the other extreme where they become the peacemaker, overly so. Sometimes when stirring the boat or rocking the boat is what is needed, so they become overly peacemaking. That's a possibility. One of the glamours is the Tibetan calls it the glamour of a vague artistic ability. Like the idea that, I feel artistic, I'm going to throw this paint on this canvas and I'll call it a Rembrandt. In other words, some real distortions about what constitutes beauty, what is beauty. And say again?
It's like all Irish people thinking they can sing in the pub.
Oh, well, that's I haven't thought, like all Irish people thinking they can sing in a pub. Yeah, that's got to be it. I'm sure Ireland has a good dose of fourth ray in you. And in a way that you can see, look, I'm looking from the outside in, but it does seem that the culture has a lot of internal angst about itself anyway. You guys have the best jokes about yourself than any other culture I've ever seen. And at the same time, there's a lot of, I love the feel of Ireland from the point of view that it seems to be, you love your Irishness in a way that's really beautiful. But at the same time, there's a lot of battle. Even you've had a fairly significant civil unrest thing here. There's the harmony through conflict, Yeah. Whether Ireland, I don't know the rays of Ireland. Ireland, by the way, remember, nations are entities. A nation is an entity. Ireland is a being. It has a soul. It has a personality. It's going to be a ray of the soul, a ray of the personality. And it's going to be struggling to transform its lower personality tendencies so that it can live more that soulful tendency that it's its promise and its destiny. So everything that applies to you and I in terms of our duality and its transformation also has application to this thing called nation, which is a being. I don't know Ireland's rays, although it's probably got a fair dose of sixth ray in it too, because of your close association with Catholicism. But the Tibetan gave us the ray patterns of about 15, I think, countries, but he didn't offer Ireland. He gave Americas, he gave Britain's. Americas is second ray soul, sixth ray personality. Britain is second ray soul, first ray personality. So I'll explain that. I'll tell you what, when I get to the sixth ray, I'll explain the difference so you can see that. Maybe you'll sense it. Okay? Any other questions on this?
So there are no fourth ray souls.
Right.
in the incarnation.
Right.
There would be fourth ray personalities.
And peripheral mental bodies.
Yeah.
A bunch of them.
Right.
I'm sure there's a whole bunch of you right here. So fourth ray is also the ray that tends to condition your consciousness with a tendency to always see two sides of something. It's like, well, this is true, but wait a minute, the opposite is true too, but wait a minute. So it's just like this back and forth thing, and there's a battle to resolve the conflict.
So wouldn't it seem that Libra should be in there?
A lot of people debate that, about why isn't Libra one of the signs, and on some level I think that Libra must be, but it seems that Libra is much more, on a higher level, emphasizing the third ray. Yeah, I mean.
So someone like Da Vinci would wait to be born till the fourth ray comes back.
Right.
He's a fourth ray.
Yeah.
So he could be reborn in 2025.
Well, could, yeah, but we think Da Vinci probably became a fourth degree initiate, and at the fourth degree, you don't even have any karma left, you don't have to reincarnate. So whether that being actually comes back, I don't know. But if anybody less than a fourth degree initiate, which is what Jesus took on the cross, he took the fourth initiation, anything less than that, you're coming back. You're coming back. I can't tell you how many people I've met who have said, this is my last incarnation. If they only knew. Oh my God. I mean, what's really happening is the personality is saying, oh, my life is so difficult. I've had so many struggles. Surely I've paid my dues. I'm not coming back. But no, you can't avoid it. As long as there's karmic dissonance in the fabric of your whole beingness, which is what karma is, it's dissonance, there's no choice. The system is set up. It must incarnate to slowly resolve that dissonance into harmony. Harmony through conflict. And when you become fully harmonized, lower and higher, you've just entered into that fourth plane. Above where the soul is, you're actually now up here, and that's where the ashram is, and you're a master yourself. Each one of you is a master in the making. But you got to resolve this duality below and transform every piece of karma that you've ever acquired in order to do that, and then you become a liberated master. So each of you is a master in the making. Each of you is a Christ in the making. Have I ever done a whole workshop on initiation here? I don't remember if have we done that here? Maybe we should someday. I've got a new seminar. I call it "In the Master's Footsteps." That's a whole 2 days on the subject of initiation and what's involved. So maybe next time. Who knows? Anyway, Jared's back there going. It's the cameraman going. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next one. Fifth ray. The ray of science and concrete knowledge. Fifth ray souls are people who have an analytical way of looking at life. Such people are dedicated to ideas that have been tested through the rigors of scientific inquiry. Their main approach to ascertaining truth is to closely study form to unravel its mysteries. They are also committed to clarifying whether ideas are true or false through scientific investigation. Their destiny is slowly realized when they learn that the purpose for studying form is to discover the living energy and spiritual ideation that gave rise to form. When form is realized as an effect rather than a cause, then purpose and destiny can be apprehended. This can only happen when intuition is viewed as the companion to the mind rather than its adversary. Fifth ray souls are governed by the will to know. This is an ashram that is very strongly in manifestation right now. Some of the most advanced scientists in the world are fifth ray souls. Their commitment to help humanity through scientific inquiry is staggering. Think about the medical profession and science. Think about all facets of science. What the contribution to humanity has been astounding. It is believed that this ashram really started to come forward and externalize in a strong way. Forget the exact year, but it would have been about the time that we had the emergence of people like Descartes, Descartes and Isaac Newton. These would be a couple of good examples of fifth ray souls. It's also it's the ray that is the single most important vibration behind the whole sign of Aquarius. And because we're entering into the age of Aquarius, the fifth ray is also going to be an increasing thing. Now, the evolution of this ashram's work in the world is, we can clearly see it historically. So for instance, when the fifth ray began to have more influence in humanity at the birth of science, the insights derived then were applied to very tangible manifestations. So you had science applied to engineering, building locomotives. Industrialization was actually really rooted in early scientific understanding of things based on Newtonian physics. Now, look at it, it's moving into a focus on subtle patterns, quantum fields, string theory. And so it's moving from science as understood within dense concretion into subtle pattern. And that's exactly what we would anticipate as this ashram continues to mature in its relationship to humanity's welfare. So it's a fantastic thing. We're going to see more of science. What's also interesting about this particular ray, or this ashram, is that this will be the ashram that will be responsible ultimately for proving scientifically the existence of the soul. Can you imagine what that will be like? When all of humanity, science can prove the existence, that there's something about you that is existing outside of the physical experience, that'll change everything. That'll change everything. So it's a really, and that is also believed likely to take place in this century. And the countries all countries are involved from the point of view that you see a growing research, scientific research on consciousness studies. So more and more there's a lot of work on out-of-body experiences, scientifically understood. There's more study now going on with things like telekinesis, past life regression work. Science is being more and more applied to this so that we can see the interest in it growing and more science applied to it. So it's an exciting time. Actually, it also occurs to me that in terms of nations, the one nation that is said to probably hold the key to the final liberation of that question of science and soul is France. France is the one country we know for sure has a fifth-ray soul. It has a third-ray personality, but it has a fifth-ray soul. And so France's destiny, if she can rise above her personality nature, is that France will actually provide some sort of final key that will make all these other things come together that science applied around the world is using to answer this question of can we prove the existence of the soul. Something important with France's role. But it's like any other country. Its destiny will only come when it can rise above its personality nature. And it's struggling with that, just like your country is struggling with that, just like my country is struggling with that. Just like we individually are struggling with it too. So, yeah, the day will come. What else can I tell you about this? Many, many people have fifth-ray personalities too. Many people have fifth-ray mental bodies. I mentioned somebody like, well, we mentioned Bill Gates earlier. There's speculation that Bill Gates could be a third-ray soul with a fifth-ray personality. Fifth-ray personalities are kind of that nerdy kind of quality, you know what I mean? You hear that word here, nerd, the nerdy? Yeah, or Albert Einstein, third-ray, fifth-ray. You can see you kind of see it in Albert Einstein too, right? Yeah. Anyway, its destiny is profound. It's profound. And it's also good for us because the more you can bring fifth ray into, let's put it this way, it's not noted here, or maybe, oh yeah, it is in a way. The fifth ray is the ray that tries to clarify truth. It tries to discern what is true from what only seems to be true. And so it's a more precise accuracy. It's emphasizing accuracy of thought. The third ray is also very mental too, but it's the bridge building. It's trying to make all these links. But sometimes the third ray can make great links, but there's a little recklessness in that as well. The fifth ray doesn't make those jumps. It's going to make a connection only if it can be really and make sure you got it right, you know. So they're both very mental ray tendencies, but they approach it from quite a different perspective. Okay. The signs. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The signs. I told you it's Aquarius, and in Aquarius it represents the emergence of science itself. It's also in Leo. In Leo it represents right discernment of the self. Right discernment of the self. And in the third sign is Sagittarius again, and here it represents right discernment of the path. The path. See, Sagittarius rules the path. It's the sign that rules the path. It rules direction, right? It's direction. And this is all about discernment of. What is the right discernment of the path? Whereas Leo is all about identity. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? So the fifth ray is right discernment of the self. You see? Okay. Did I get them all? I think so.